Disneyland prices have gone up, and we're going to talk about how that might affect crowds, hopefully for the better.
Your attention, please.
What is shaking, guys? Welcome back. Yesterday I posted a video about the possible Disneyland price increases. Well, they did in fact increase their prices mere hours before I uploaded the video. So there might be a little bit of confusion why it's a prediction when their prices were actually announced. If you guys want to know what the prices are, go back to that video, look down in the comment section. I pinned a comment with the updated prices that were released. So you can go check that out there. So the biggest price increase comes in the annual pass, which was kind of to be expected, except I wasn't anticipating them touching the bigger passes. But our pass, which luckily we bought back in November, our pass went up $250. We have the Signature Plus, which is the no blackout dates, the highest pass you can get. It went up $250 from basically $11.49 up to $13.99. That's a lot for an annual pass. The Premier Pass went up almost $400 from right around $1,500 all the way up to almost $2,000. So that's for Disney World and Disneyland parks. So that's where the biggest price increases changed, and it's all because of Star Wars Land. So Star Wars Land Galaxy's Edge, to us, isn't quite worth these big price increases. Now, yes, there's 2 rides, it's going to pull in a whole bunch of people, and that's why they increased it, just to make more money. But is it worth it to everybody else to pay the extra money just for this new land, essentially? So basically, like for us, use us as an example, $250 price increase is basically you're just paying for access to Galaxy's Edge. Now I understand it's like $1 billion expansion to the park, so they got to make up money for it, but is that worth it to consumers in that way? I don't know. So could the price increase help out the crowd? Now, Ashley believes, no matter what, Star Wars Land is going to increase the crowds. Yes, I agree with that. Star Wars Land is going to draw a massive amount of people no matter how much it costs. But what about the rest of the park? Well, there's going to be annual pass holders, like this one, that's not a huge fan of Star Wars. She likes Chewie, BB-8, a couple other characters. That's all she really wants to see. She really doesn't care about everything else about Star Wars. So she's one that would want to just go to the normal park like always. So will this price increase limit normal AP holders, more like her, where the rest of the park might be empty? That's something that the price increase, I think, would be worth it. Is to kind of lower the amount of AP holders, especially the ones that hold like the lower passes. But I know there's going to be tons of blackouts, and I don't want to sound like mean toward the lower pass holders, but it is going to thin it out the annual pass people.
Well, right, but at the same time, it's like, is Disney... It feels like Disney's only making it's not affordable for everyone now.
Well, right.
It's if you're going to be able to purchase these passes with the blackout dates, it really shouldn't... Like, you should be able to pick your own blackout dates.
Well, that would be cool.
If you're going to do that.
I like that.
Like, you pick, so that way they go, well, no, here's our blackout date. So let's say the one that's below the popular one, I don't know which one
deluxe.
That is. That one always had the 2 weeks of Christmas or whatever.
Oh, just the plain signature.
Right.
Okay.
So they have that one, right? And then you have to pick, they give you, you have to pick 20 days of blackouts or whatever. Because the way that it's so expensive, it's not becoming affordable, and everyone loves Disneyland because it's everyone's home in a sense. It's something they remember from their childhood. It's something they see their kids growing up with. it's a memory place, and that's what Walt wanted, was to make memories.
Well,
and now they're making this increase, and it's almost sad in a way.
Right. I mean, I've said it before, I know you've said it, and I've heard other people say it. Disneyland is like an escape from reality. All the issues that you have at home or in the world or at your work, whatever it may be, Disneyland kind of gives you that escape, that pull away from reality. And I was reading something like the Select Pass, which I believe is just for SoCal residents. This year, this next calendar year, which would have started yesterday, there's like 217 blackout dates this year. That's like 2/3 of the year, guys, for the SoCal Select.
Well, I wonder if they're just doing that because of the bigger passes, and they essentially want to eliminate so many people going just for Star Wars, and because they have an annual pass. Because they're like,
Right.
oh, well, I have an annual pass. They'll take this wrong. I'm privileged to do whatever I want. And that's not the case. A lot of the time, yes, it's nice. You get to exclusive things with being an annual pass holder. But it's just like a normal pass. And honestly, I think the guests that have the, single day passes or, the 4-day park hopper, they're a little more treated well. Because Disney knows that they're only here for those however many days, where when you're an annual passer, they're like, okay, well, you can come back at any time.
True.
So, yes, we're still going to give you the love and the magic, but the other ones, you know, I think that's why they're kind of like, and I think they're kind of, I think once they put that out, the SoCal, I think they're also tired of, because, they only put out, 500 tickets, or a limited amount of tickets?
They used to be, SoCal, they didn't have a limit. And then for the 60th anniversary on that 2015 year, they learned really fast that they need to put a limit on SoCal tickets because it was pandemonium on Friday and Saturday nights.
Well, then it became I think a lot of, kind of like how we complain, yes, we are in it, but we don't go there all the time. We go there maybe
every couple
4
months.
times a year.
Right.
And to us, yes, we know all of the sayings for Haunted Mansion when you go into the elevator, or Indiana Jones, or, Big Thunder. We know all of those spiels. Where the people that live down there, they have to realize that it's some of that, those people are there for their first time, whether they're 30, whether they're 5, whether they're 1 year old. They're there for the first time. And it became like, oh, now we can't go on Fridays or Saturdays because of the locals. They're ruining this experience. It's like another theme park. To them, it's like, for us, we have Great America. I don't know if you guys know about what that is, but it's another theme park.
It's like Six Flags. That's all it is. It's like your normal Six Flags.
So, essentially, I think that's what the locals treat Disneyland as. And I think that's what Disney's like, you know what? We don't want that. It's still somewhere somebody makes memories and takes vacations. And when you have people like them that scream in the elevator and do all these horrible things, when you're going down the elevator and I forget his name, but the guy falls and it goes black, those people, you can tell they're locals because they are screaming on the top of their lungs, thinking it's funny. And yes, we were all teenagers then, and it is fun because you're not realizing you're having your own fun because you're not realizing everyone else around you. You're in your own little bubble with your friends.
But they're not thinking about the people from New York and Michigan and
Montana.
And
I think that's why Disney stopped it. Right. Because they're probably getting a lot of concerns or a lot of guests when you go to the end of the day, you're walking your way out, there's always those cast members. Which you should always stop because it's always a quick question that they have, and it's always, how was your experience at the park? That's always their question. And that's when you can kind of not be mean, but that's when you can kind of vent your complaints. Like, there was a bunch of kids screaming and yelling. I don't know where their parents were, but that made it really uncomfortable, or whatever your complaint was. And
use the questionnaires.
How you're, if you had a horrible time, they want to make that better, and they don't know that until you tell them that. So that's why they always are asking to stop. And remember to politely say no. Don't just
You don't try to walk past them or...
And be rude.
Don't be rude because
they're helping you.
Well, you're right. They're helping you and trying to make your experience going forward better. You know, there's no way for them to make your experience better if you don't tell them. You know, it's just like anything. If you've got an injury, for instance, and somebody's saying, what's wrong? Oh, nothing's wrong. How are they going to know you're hurt? Well, it's the same kind of thing. If something's wrong at Disney, that's the only way they can find out if something is wrong. Is for you to tell them, but just do it politely, because they're working too. You don't want people coming to your job screaming and yelling at you for no apparent reason. So to make a long story short, like what we were just talking about, basically it became a local hangout spot. Now when we went in November, it wasn't that bad. Like on Friday night, yeah, it was busy, but it didn't have that...
It didn't have that feel like, oh, this isn't a hangout
right.
for kids.
It didn't have that feeling like, oh, it's just all the local teenagers coming to hang out. Over the summer, it definitely had that feeling a lot on Sunday nights, because a lot of the SoCal passes weren't blacked out on Sundays.
Right, and that's why a lot of the time we didn't go on the weekends.
Right, we went during the week. So tying it back to yesterday's video about the price increases, Star Wars Land is going to draw tons of people. And hopefully they figure out some way to lessen the crowd by doing pre-openings, you know, the hard ticket events, stuff like that. AP events maybe, where only annual pass holders can go see it. So hopefully that'll limit those. Are you in the camp that if you go in the time when it's first open, you're only going to do the rest of the park and you're not going to step foot in Star Wars Land? Mm-hmm. Or are you someone that's going to try to dart over to Star Wars Land to see it right when it opens? Because I'm pretty sure I know what we're going to do.
Well, I'm pretty sure they're going to have a line to walk. Like, I'm pretty sure a half hour before the park opens, they're just going to have a line of people lined up and have a line to walk you all the way to Star Wars Land.
Like they did for Toy Story Land.
And I think didn't they do that for Cars Land, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, they would walk you back. They would take the rope and walk you back to the Fast Pass, in case you wanted to get Fast Pass. And then they would keep walking the rope back to Cars Land, and once you hit the picture spot for Cars Land, then they would move the rope, and it was a free-for-all.
Right, but for Star Wars Land, I think it needs to be a little tighter. Because you're going to get people that are going to stand in the Star Wars line, and that are going to try to go to Space Mountain, for instance. And, like, dart out. So I think, like, you know, depending on whichever way is better to get, which I would think would be going through the castle, going through Fantasyland entrance for Star Wars Land, they would have people lined up in a, you know, every 10 feet have a cast member, or every 20 feet have a cast member, you know, with their arms like they do for parades, where they're, like, funneling you into one area.
Could be.
And I think and they need to do it a half hour, so if you want to see Star Wars Land, you need to get in that line. And they shut it down after so many people.
And only have, like, 2 turnstiles for that line.
Right, and I think that's the best way to do it. So that way they can get in, they can get into the land, and then as soon as the park opens, they're already there. There's no run, rush, and accidents. Because we've seen many of people fall because they are running.
Right. I don't think it'll go through the castle.
Well, that's just
right. No,
idea.
It makes sense because it's like the most straight line shot you can do. But you're going to get people more probably like us. They're like, well, if we see it, we see it. I mean, when we go, hopefully in August, we'll see it.
Right, well, we might see both Star Wars lands.
Well, right. But I mean, I think the most logical way would be to go through Frontierland. So that way you can make that turn and you can have that hole over the bridge by Thunder. Have the line go there.
But, well, yeah.
And you're going to have people that don't want anything to do with Star Wars Land, and you don't want Fantasyland getting impacted.
That is, I forgot Fantasyland. There's not
especially
much
in the morning. Yeah, there's not a lot of room in the morning. People want to take pictures.
That's when you get rid of. That's when you just have. That's when you just get rid of Magic Morning those days. Those first months,
right?
Like before, like, you know, if it's gonna open in mid-July or whatever, at end July, around there in summer, go all the way to half of September where you're not gonna have Magic Morning. And you give something else for the guests because that is part of the ticket.
Right.
So you give a free treat.
Well, the hard part is it's in the summer. And Disneyland stays open until midnight.
Or you still have California Adventures.
Well, right. You could do Magic Morning. You do Magic
Morning
Morning in DCA. Yeah, you could do that. I would say, like, if it was the fall, you could do the extra hours, like Disney World. Do them after the park.
Yeah.
But when the Disneyland's open till midnight in the summer, you can't really do that. I don't know. I like my idea that I said months ago. I can't tell you how long ago it was when I first started talking about Star Wars Land and the issues they were going to have. My solution still, separate entrance. Just do a separate entrance. If you go to the front of the park and you say, have a sign that says Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, inquire here, line up here. Then they can take you around and go through like a back side entrance, because we all know Disneyland has tons of backdoor entrances.
Yeah.
Do it that way. And just have everyone filter that way, at least for the first couple weeks. When you know that, like you said, people are going to camp out for this thing whenever it's going to open.
Hi, Bowie.
People are going to camp out. People are going to get in line 3 days ahead of time if they have to.
I don't think they're going to allow it.
They won't allow it. Just like they didn't for the 24-hour event.
No, but they did. Remember?
But they ended up allowing it.
You're right, because so many people started camping out, but people were bringing chairs, people were bringing tents at 1 a.m. trying to sleep, and they were fine with it, but they said all of that needs to be picked up at the announcement, like I think it was maybe 2 hours before the park, and if it wasn't picked up,
you lost your spot.
They told you, like, you need to leave, or they did what they did with selfie sticks, they just took it.
Right.
And they don't give those back. That's another thing.
No, I think they all know. We did that spiel. Remember when they shut down the ride in Florida?
I know.
We did that whole spiel already. So guys, leave your comments down below. What do you think is going to happen with the crowds in general? Are you going to be someone that has to see Star Wars Land when it first opens, or do you want to explore the rest of the park? How do you think price increases are going to affect the park as a whole, but kind of like the park that's separate from Star Wars Land now? I guess it's the easiest way I can say it. It's basically my first question. Are these price increases going to affect people that don't care too much about Star Wars Land? Or is this pretty much going to be all Star Wars fans this next year? Because we know the prices go up every year. It's not like next year the prices are going to go down because Star Wars Land is 6 months old. Because I'm still going down and saying it, Star Wars Land is going to open on July 17th. It's going to happen.
Your almost birthday.
My almost birthday. Yeah, that's a whole long story for a whole nother video. But anyways, guys, we're going to wrap it up today because we kind of just started going in all different directions. So if you guys haven't done so already, give this video a big thumbs up. If not for me, if not for Ashley, give it up for Bowie for hanging out with us and not attacking us or attacking the camera. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell if you want to be notified when other videos like this and other park adventure videos are uploaded. And like always, guys, if you guys are at any of the parks, tell Mickey I say hi. Tell Minnie
I say hi.
And guys, we will see you all
a little later.